What is happening, and welcome to another four-wheel drive talk episode. And as the title of this video, it's probably giving you a heads up, and we're going to be talking about the RKS Off-Road Motive Trail. More specifically, last month, or hell, it might have been 6 weeks ago, I got to take this thing out to Joshua Tree. We were the first company to take this thing out, and I keep bringing that up because it was an absolute treat, and it was an honor to be able to take this thing out, and it was a lot of fun. Now, I did notice, as a result of, which is kind of what led to the creation of this video, when I pushed out that video, I started noticing quite a handful of questions coming through, and there's a little bit of an echo on some of the questions, and they got me thinking. I'm like, I'm going to push out a kind of a first impression of the RKS Off-Road Motive trailer utilizing your questions that you've sent. So what I've done here is kind of compiled some of the more common questions. But before we get into the questions that you guys have sent over, in my opinion, my 2 cents of this thing here. Look, friends, every single week we put videos together here for you, for your benefit here. And of course, if you find some value with these videos, friend, if you could do me a big favor and crush that like button down below, it really does help with the whole YouTube algorithm. That said, my friends, pull up a seat in. Let's go. Okay, so here's the format of this here. I'm going to take one of your questions, and I'm simply going to answer. I'm going to give you my 2 cents on it. Again, you may agree with me, you may not, but at the end of the day, look, my goal here is with this particular video here is taking some of the common questions that we've seen on this particular trailer and putting those answers from somebody that has taken this thing out. Now, I've only taken this thing out for a long weekend. I hit these guys up a couple weeks ago to see if I can get out and take it. I'm really itching to get out and create kind of a follow-up video behind this because this thing was an absolute blast to take out. But anyways, I'm going to share with you my 2 cents from having this thing for a long weekend, and hopefully that will help answer some of your questions. So the first question we're going to address here is,
Alex, is the Skydeck practical?
Now, if you aren't familiar with the RKS Off-Road Motive trailer, one of the big selling features of this is it has a Skydeck, meaning there's a ladder going up on the side of this thing, or a set of stairs, that you can get up, and the entire roof of this thing, with the exception of you have the solar panels and you have the AC unit, but probably about a good 75-80% of the Skydeck, or the roof of this thing, is meant for you to go up there and pretty much do whatever the hell you want. So you can get up there, throw some lawn chairs up there. Are they even called lawn chairs anymore? Anyways, throw some chairs up there. You can sunbathe, read a book, which I did do. You can get up there. Now, many of you know my other company, I'm big into photography. I love photography. So if you're into photography, the top of this thing, hell, nighttime photography, or hell, let's say you're at a NASCAR race or something, some sort of power sports, whatever. You're up there, observing whatever the hell's going on, and yeah, you're out of the way. You're above everybody else. It gives you a vantage point. And while on the topic of the Skydeck, one of the things that is really fun. Now, granted, I went out there, it was just myself, but there's enough room up there. You could probably have a good 3 or 4 people, maybe 5. I don't know. Definitely 4 people up there comfortably. Have some drinks, play some cards. Again, at the end of the day, one of the things that struck me about this camper or toy haul or whatever you want to call it, I think this thing is, depending upon where you are, what you're after, what your goals are with buying something like this, this thing can take on a different meaning. Some are going to see this as a toy hauler because they have some dirt bikes that they want to put, or they have a side-by-side that they want to put inside of it. Others, I said this in a previous video, you just can see this massive amount of space, this cool tech. I think their build quality stands out, and are going to see this as just simply a big-ass camper with a lot of open space. But anyways, so if you're an entertainer, the top of this thing has a ton of space. So is this Skydeck practical? Hell yes. Next question.
Is there enough power for all your devices?
That is a great question. As many of you know, I am very dependent upon my having power because from my photography standpoint, I'm always out there charging up all my cameras, my drones, my computers. I'm a high maintenance camper. I like to have a good, reliable power. Yeah, I'm not going to go any further on that, but I'm very dependent upon power. So this thing comes standard with 400 amp hours of battery, lithium batteries. This thing's an absolute beast out of the box. It has 400 watts of solar on the roof. Now, I will say this, though, just the 400 watts on the roof of this thing, man, in the mornings I forget what my battery would be at, but it would seem like Jesus, after an hour and a half at 2 hours in good old California sun, those batteries are back at 100%. Now, I will say this, you have the option of going to 800 amp hours worth of batteries. That's like full on beast mode right there. And then 800 watt solar panel on the roof. Now that's simply badass. Now I would guess, you could just run about pretty much anything you want with that. But the 400 amp hours of battery and the 400 watts of the solar, for what I was out there and the equipment that I brought out there with me, and I even ran their AC, which we're going to talk about that here in a moment. Jesus, there's plenty of power. Now, there's also a 2400 watt inverter in this thing as well, which you can pretty much run whatever you want with that thing as well. Now, just know when you're running an inverter, obviously, that AC inverters are going to suck some power out and so forth. But with that 400 watt on the roof of this thing, if you're utilizing the inverter during the day, yeah, it's going to charge back up, replenish those batteries pretty darn fast. So plenty of power to pretty much do whatever the hell you want. Next question.
Did the AC work in the desert heat?
Again, this is a great question. I love the questions that you guys came up here. Now, I was out in Joshua Tree. This is where I brought it kind of trial by fire. Plus, Joshua Tree, well, actually, I originally wanted to go to Alabama Hills, but thanks to some really super awesome people, and I'm being sarcastic about this, that were trashing Alabama Hills. Alabama Hills, a lot of the overnight camping got, if you haven't heard, they got, discontinued. Not discontinued. What's the word I'm looking for? They shut it down, which really sucks because Alabama Hills, over the years, has turned into one of my favorite places to go camping. But anyways, so Joshua Tree was a second choice. Joshua Tree is really toasty, and one of the things that I wanted to test with this particular camper was how well does it keep cool out. And it's a big box that you have a lot of the creature comforts of home, but if it's hot inside, that's going to make it very miserable. The AC unit, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the unit off the top of my head, but man, that thing kept that thing very... I only ran it during the day. In the evenings, it was so darn nice. I just cracked the windows. There's so many windows in this thing that creates this ventilation going through. Honestly, I didn't need the AC at night with this thing. The panels on this, I want to say it's an R6. So all of this plays together because when you have these thick walls, the walls on these things are like this thick, and I'm pretty sure the floors are much thicker, and it's this composite honeycomb. I've never seen it before, but this stuff, it's like an R6 insulation value, and it is extremely... The outside of this, between the outside and the thickness of the walls, and I'm referring to the color on the outside of this trailer, this thing was very, very efficient. So the AC unit didn't have to work hard, but I cranked it up to max, and it was freaking cold as hell inside this thing, which was really nice. Then what we were talking about with the last question, with the 400 massive amount of battery power that you have on this thing or in this thing, and with the 400 watts, or geez, if you upgraded to the 800 watt, you have plenty of reusable power to keep that AC running in some pretty stinking hot weather. It was 96 degrees out there, and it was darn cold inside this thing during the day. So yeah, the AC, these guys really selected a great choice for an AC unit inside this thing. Next question.
Is the bathroom really tiny, or is it actually usable?
Now, one of the questions that will be coming up here in a moment, talking about what's my favorite feature. So now I kind of let the cat out of the bag. The bathroom, hands down, this was, and it's funny because when I first saw this thing, no, that's right, this was the RKS off-road Purpose trailer. It wasn't the Motive. So the Purpose trailer is their first trailer that they came out with. You don't have the height that you do with the Motive here. So the ceilings, I want to say, are like 4 feet, but the bathroom inside of it, the bathroom section goes up. One of the selling points with the Purpose, which they carried it through to the Motive, the Motive just supercharges the hell out of that bathroom experience, is the ceiling raised in the Purpose trailer that they had. Obviously, with the Motive trailer being a like 6 foot something ceiling inside there, the bathroom is huge for a camper, and so you have, I want to say, I hope I don't screw up my numbers here. It's a 50-gallon black tank, 35-gallon gray tank, or maybe I got those backwards. If I have those numbers wrong, I'm going to correct them on the screen here. So you have a massive amount of storage for black and gray water on this. But the selling point with these trailers, or with these campers rather, is it's a porcelain toilet. We're not talking, some sort of, you empty it out, kind of like a cassette toilet. This is a full-on toilet, like something you find like in a luxury boat. The bathrooms are big. There's a shower inside of it. I found the bathrooms to be one of my favorite. It's funny because we're going to be talking about my favorite feature about this thing, and I go back and forth between the bathroom and the Skydeck. I really love that Skydeck. So the bathrooms are very usable, and inside the bathroom there's a little tiny sink in there as well. So it's a fully functional bathroom. You have a shower, you have a toilet, and you have a sink in there, and there's even a mirror, vanity mirror in there as well. And it's a hard door as well. Now I do seem to recall, now this is a prototype trailer, so I do seem to recall they may be doing something different with the door, because currently right now it's a single hard door that kind of swings open, which personally I like, but I think they're going with another direction with that. I might be mistaken on that. But so anyways, the bathroom is extremely functional, and it's very big for a camper of this size.
Alex, how did you sleep inside this thing?
Well, I slept like a baby. Or the questions are, how do you sleep inside this? Well, in the back of this thing, there's a set of motors on hydraulics, or these arms that come down. So right next to the main door going into this thing, you have a switch. You toggle that switch, and the bed comes like, maybe not those noise, but you get the point. So the bed comes down. It's a queen size. It's a big queen size bed, and it is stinking cool. The mattress is a 3-inch NASA approved. It's not NASA approved. I don't know what it is, but it's extremely comfortable. I'm trying to make a joke, and I don't know how funny that's going to be. But anyways, it's an extremely comfortable mattress. And when you're done in the morning, hit that switch back up, and the bed disappears. So one of the things I really admire about RKS is the amount of engineering that they put in there. And you guys have heard me talk about this with campers in general. Having that functionality. Your number one commodity in a camper is your space, is the space that you have or you don't have. So when a company spends the time and resources to think out of the box, so therefore you can really maximize the space, that is pretty darn cool. So when you raise this thing back up, the bed out of the way, you're still able to walk underneath this thing very comfortably, and the bed has disappeared. At night, you drop the bed down through, boom, there you go. So yeah, and then on top of that, they have a series I mentioned earlier. I didn't run the AC at night. Reason why I didn't need to, because they had these windows all over the place. So I just cracked the window near my foot and at my head, and at night there's this nice cool breeze going through there. So the bed is, now you can obviously fit, it's a queen size bed. So if you and your missus, your kid, we at my house, we have a 7-year-old son. He still sleeps between us, and we have my wife, my son, and myself. And if my family was with me, everybody would have fit on this bed comfortably. And then underneath this, there is additional space that you can fit more people. So I think this thing is rated for like 4 people. I mean, I think you can actually hold more if people wanted to get really cozy. Yeah, there's a lot of space inside this thing.
What was the towing experience like with my Jeep?
This is another good question. And I like to see people asking questions like this, because sometimes there's certain things with, well, I'm going to go out and buy this trailer. You get sold on a trailer, but you don't think, well, shit, what are you towing it with? If you're out there with a with a 4-door Mini and thinking you're going to tow something like this, no, it's not. It's not going to happen. And so sometimes towing capacities, people tend to overlook. They get excited about something and they overlook what their vehicle capabilities, or what their vehicle is really capable of, and then either they take on more than they can chew, or they get themselves in troubles or can potentially hurt other people on the road and themselves. So now the towing capacity of my Jeep is 7,500 pounds. Now, I also changed the gears from the 411s to 488s, which definitely helped. Now, I didn't hit a lot of mountains, but on the road, I was towing it at very comfortable speeds. Having the electronic brakes inside this thing definitely helped, because it's just a little bit shy of a 5,000-pound dry weight trailer. And with a Jeep, let's face it, it's not a big vehicle. It doesn't have a big motor in it. So having that extra stopping power from the dual axle on the set of brakes on the back of this thing really does help. But from a power standpoint, it did pretty good. The Jeep did pretty good. From a fuel economy standpoint, I was actually pretty surprised. I thought for sure that my MPGs was just going to get absolutely crushed towing this thing around, but it did it. I only lost a couple. Usually when I'm towing around my Turtleback, if my foot is not hammering on it and I'm being a little bit more conscious as far as how I'm driving, I can get it in the range of 12-ish to 15, or 15, Jesus, I wish, to 13 or so. Towing this out to Joshua Tree, I was averaging, I didn't dip below 10, which I thought for sure this thing was going to be far less. So from an MPG standpoint, it did pretty good. If the Jeep had a little bit more power, yeah, that'd be freaking awesome. So in terms of the overall experience towing it around, yeah, it was pretty solid. And so the Jeep did a great job with this, and RKS did a great job in terms of weight management on the tongue and all that other fun stuff.
How much is this thing?
Well, this thing is not inexpensive. Look at this as an investment for tomorrow, and I'll expound on what I mean with this. Now, I do believe the one that I tested, the one that I brought out, starts at 90,000 or so, right around that 90,000 range. Now, as I understand, as you add more features, that price is going to go up. But one of the things, now you may be saying, well, Alex, that's a lot of money. Well, yeah, you're right. It is a lot of money. But here's one of the things that doesn't scare me so much with this camper, this trailer. And this is something that I realized after spending time with it over that long weekend. The components and the durability and just how well they put this thing together really separates itself fast from a lot of the other noise out in the marketplace. The components that they used, they really didn't cut any corners. These are pretty pricey components that they put inside of this thing. And when you look at campers out there that carry the badge off-road, a lot of companies will loosely use that term, but what happens is you get off-road a handful of times and things start falling apart because of the components that are used. They simply cannot handle the abuse. Driving off-road puts a beating on your truck and whatever the hell you're towing behind it. These guys really, when I say you're making an investment into tomorrow, is because how well and how durable this thing is built, you get your money's worth out of this thing. So I feel comfortable in saying, based upon when you take this thing out today, that same experience and how the tight corners and the edges and the lines inside this thing, a year from now, 5 years from now, those are going to be the same as well, because again, the components, the high quality components that this company put into these darn things. Now, if they skimped on some items, that would be a completely different story, but this is it is what it is. This is a price. This is an investment. These guys really put quite a bit of engineering and thought into each one of the components. One of the things that I noticed firsthand when I got inside this trailer the first time was the doors inside, the components inside this thing are just extremely well built and very high quality. So this thing is going to last. This thing's going to take whatever beating that you give to it. They're just bottom line. So now the question from earlier.
What is my favorite feature?
Well, you know what? I'm going to cheat on this. I know you're asking for probably a single best feature that I like about it. The bathroom, I told you. Look, I don't have a problem, heading out and taking care of business behind a tree or whatnot. But it sure is nice to have a regular household toilet when I'm out in the woods and have a shower right there. I just got back from Northrim, and obviously with my Turtleback trailer, my shower is outside. So, which again, I don't have a problem with. But inside here, you wake up in the morning, you feel like taking a shower. You don't have to go outside. You have all your creature comforts right inside this thing, which is pretty darn cool. The first night I woke up, the coffee was already waiting for me down below. I didn't leave the trailer. I went inside, brushed my teeth, went to the bathroom, just sat with my eyes full of crap because I didn't wash my face until after I was sitting there for a bit, had a coffee. I mean, I'm looking out the window just like in awe, just enjoying that view of Joshua Tree. And I finally got off my ass and washed my face. But that was nice to have that kind of very just. The best example I can give to that is when I was a kid over at my grandfather's house. He had a pond behind there, and I stayed over there for a summer. I would get up and I would go downstairs and just sit out and looking over the pond and just admiring and appreciating nature. And that's the best thing that I can kind of share with you what went through me that first morning. The coffee was there. Quickly brushed my teeth, went to the bathroom, and I just sat down there. I'm looking out the window at these orangish lights in the sky, this slight breeze, because I mentioned I had the windows open this thing. It was so beautiful. And best feature, bathroom in the Skydeck on the top. It's a coin toss for me. So yeah, hopefully you'll not give me too much guff down below for giving two answers. So.
Is there anything you don't like about this?
Yeah, there was. But I want to repeat, the part of me taking this thing out is they wanted me to beat the hell out of this thing. They wanted me to give honest feedback to them because they want, as I understand, I was the first of many people taking this thing out who are going out there beating the hell out of it, and they're testing. This is a moving prototype. One of the things I didn't like, which as I understand has been fixed on the back of it, when you drop that big ass beautiful door in the back, which is another thing was really cool. You have this big open space, but they didn't have a screen there. So if you're out there or if you're cooking outside, you have the big door open, bugs can come in. Now, as I understand, they're putting a big screen on the back of that thing. That was one of the things that I didn't care for. And then the bathroom. When I was in the shower, the first place that I was at, the hole for the water to go down was in the front of the shower, so it puddled up in there. Or because that's right, because the trailer was slightly leaning back, so that means very little water. I had to take a very quick shower because otherwise the water would go out into the out in the main living space. So as I understand, they've fixed that as well. So now, regardless how you're positioned there, that water's going to go down. So those are really the only two things. Oh, that's right. They had this big ass Truma, like 91 liter fridge inside this thing. The plug in the back of that would sometimes pop out. It's just like a 12-volt plug in the back of there, and that's another item that has been fixed. Again, this is a prototype, and so while the cons that I'm sharing with you, they took these cons and they fixed these things, and so that was the whole purpose of people like me taking this thing out, is getting finding out where the cracks are. So Those were the things that I didn't like, and as I understand, they've been fixed, so I don't know if that counts. So as I said a moment ago, I can't wait to take this thing out here in the future to see how well or how much this thing has even improved or how much it has evolved, because knowing these people from the time that I've been, a few times I've been up there and so forth, these guys are very serious about the evolution and the evolving of this trailer, which is going to be pretty darn cool to see how that transitions here over 2022.
Alex, well, this is all great. Who is the ideal buyer for a trailer like this?
This is another good question. Earlier I talked about we all have different, we aspire for different experiences. So again, if you're somebody that has some dirt bikes or some side-by-sides, yeah, this is right up your wheelhouse. It's a compact luxury toy hauler. On the other hand, if you're just somebody that likes a little open space, well, there's a lot more than a little in here, especially when you have that bed up during the day. You have a lot of space inside this thing. Which reminds me of one of my favorite features, another favorite feature about this trailer itself. Almost forgot about this. So on the back, you have the deck that you can drive your side-by-side up or your motorcycle. There are some jack stands underneath this thing that automatically, well, they don't automatically. You put a impact wrench on there and it levels it to the same height that is throughout the trailer itself. The fun part with this, when you have that down, you have that massive, when you see the size of the deck, the drive-up deck on here, that becomes additional living space that you can put a barbecue at, a table out there, a couple chairs out there. It really exponentially increases that space, that living space that this trailer has to offer. So between that and then the ceiling, the Skydeck, there's a massive amount of space. And that's the thing. Again, not to get far off the topic of this question here, this thing has so many. When you slow down and take a look at the technology, and I think this really builds into who's the ideal buyer for something like this. People that want all those creature comforts that you would have at your home. If you want to cook on the Skydeck, you can do it. If you want to cook on the barbecue on the back of this thing, you can. If you want to use the kitchen that is inside this thing, hell, you can do so. There's a sink there's actually two sinks inside the sink. You have one in the bathroom, and then you have one in the kitchen side of it as well. People that want a lot of storage, this thing has a massive amount of storage. But going back to what I was saying a moment ago, is you have the people that want a compact toy hauler. This is you that wants a quality, because there's plenty of lesser options out there. If you want something that is cheap, this is not for you. If you want something that's going to last you a very long time, where you can get out there and beat the hell out of this thing, and fast forward 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and the thing's going to look the same as it does right now, minus whatever scratches and whatever character that you add to this thing here. This is the trailer for you. Now on the flip side, if you are somebody that just wants a ton of open space, you don't care about putting any mountain bikes in there or your dirt bikes or side by side. You just want the space, which is for me. I do have a mountain bike, but I don't have any side by sides. I don't have any dirt bikes, and I really don't care to get any of these. For me, I love the open space that this thing has. The open floor plan is just, for me, it was so relaxing. It was so much fun. So those are really the two types of buyers for this. And friends, there you go. As you can see, yeah, I'm excited about this trailer. I think they really did a good job on this. And so hopefully this video was of some value. Hopefully this gave you some insight in terms of if you're on the fence about picking up a toy hauler, hey, this might be one of those that you want to take a look at. And so they do a handful of the shows, so you may want to give them a call, see where they may be featuring at. And take a look at one of these things. And friends, there you go. This was a fun video put together. Hopefully, I tried to compile or kind of stack up some of the questions that we saw. Some of them were common questions that I saw coming in from you folks. If there are additional questions that you have on the RKS off-road trailer, put them down below. And then maybe in one of the subsequent videos that I do, I will address some of the additional questions that came up. I'm hoping to take this thing out again before the end of the summer. I really can't wait to see what improvements that they've made to this this trailer itself. And then, of course, during that video, I'll address any additional questions that I missed during this one. But friends, that is it for me. Now it's that time of the video where you know, I got to ask you to do all that YouTube stuff. So if you found some value with this video, do me a favor, crush that like button down below. If you're currently not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Would love to have you part of the family. And last but not least, hit that bell so therefore you're notified every single time that I come out with a video just like this one, so that YouTube will send a little notification out and hell, you know that this video exists. And that is it. So friends, well, yeah, that's all I have here for you today. So I'm going to be jumping out of my studio. You get out there, stay healthy, and take or find your adventure. Again, I always, between both my companies, I get my ending screwed up. So anyways, get out there, stay healthy, and find your adventure.